And just because we cannot conceive what is abstract, many people can say, I don't know what is abstract. I eat, I drink. Well, abstract is the matrix of which your body is built and everything else. And we will come to that importance of abstraction. See the net of a spider? You see this genius of structure based on abstraction. Now, this is something that we have to almost meditatively concern and to deal with. Are these aspects that will now interact at the reawakening of universal life, of the entire universe. We have to deal with Mula Prakriti. Then we have to deal, I named a term, duration. What is duration? We say there is no time. Time can only be experienced when the form is changing. So for instance, your physical body, or your body, is made of Mula Prakriti. Now, compared to the little stone that I throw into the quiet surface, there's a wave. Your body is a wave. Now, situation of the wave returns to harmony and the surface again. That means your body dies. It casts off something. It returns to its essence. And so, to the extent of attachment that you have to your body, you experience time. Time is nothing else than the being aware of the changing of matter. That's all. For a holy man, for a saint, there's no time. He can say, that to which I cling, the body, or that which I use, holy man is not clinging anymore. I can divide that into time, yes. But since he has control over all material world, he takes on this body and the next one and the next one, always using same matter, Mula Prakriti. Thus, the Absolute has attributes. We have to go that detailed into this. Does the Absolute has attributes? No. No attributes of the Absolute, because it is absolute. It can have no attributes. But there are, and I told you in the beginning, there's one truth, but it has many facets. So there are aspects of the Absolute. There are aspects, and we will come to that. And I know most of you may now be confused and say, what is he talking about? I'm talking about your inner self. I'm talking about your home, where you came from, where we all came from. And if we want to find a treasure deep under the earth, we have to remove the dirt. We have to dig deep. And we together here, we dig deep. Deeper than you may have come in your life, or may have attempted to dig, following the question, who am I? Receiving the answer, better ask who you're not. And if you decide who you're not, and you are, then you do the next step, you detach from it, then you will experience the mystery beyond the world of appearances. And it's not difficult, dear friends. It's not complicated. It's just new, but it's even not new. It is old, zillions of years old. Temporary reawakening. Of course, if you are somebody who says, well, for me it's enough, God is a creator, I'm happy with that, I congratulate you and have peace and go your way if that is too much. And it may be too much for some, for many, if for the moment, maybe not for all. But that cannot stop me from revealing what has been passed on to me. It's not my teaching. I'm just sharing that with you. When we do that, we wake up in our manas, in our faculties, in our thinking faculties that lead us to the unthinkable. And when we have reached that shore, we drop even thinking. If we drop it earlier, maybe a problem. You see, manas is like a raft, like a boat, cross from one shore to the other. Now, when you reach the other shore, you leave the boat, right? You don't carry it on your shoulders. There may be a burden, but mind or the boat led you to the other shore. Now, if you say, oh, that's no problem, that's enough now, and you leave it on the half of the river, and the waves are very high, they may crush you. That is possible. So don't leave the boat too early. Don't leave it too early. We are still at the moment of reawakening of the universe, at that moment when we left God. We are now on the way back to God. We have still about 150 trillion years to go, but we are on the ascending arc. When we understand the beginning, we will understand the end. And when I say beginning, of course there's no first Big Bang. This is childish. I don't know how grown-up physicians and scientists can present such a childish theory. A first? How can there be a first? What was before? There can be a reawakening. Yes. Yes. And this is where we are right now, at the reawakening of the universe 150 trillion years ago, more or less. And you will see it's a cosmic drama. There is struggle and fight from the beginning on, dear friends. This is what you get when you leave God. No matter if you are a solar system ruler or just a little mouse or a worm. When you leave God, you leave peace. And you enter the fight. And so that you are armed well in that fight. This is why I'm here with the Book of Light. So, when people invent the term God, which derives from the Hebrew Yod, it's a phallic symbol. You know, it's a hook. This is how man turned God from into a man, into a man. If God is anything, it's a female, cosmic womb, you know. And as above, so below, that duality then manifests itself into our world as we have it right now, already being on the rising arc to God, back to God. So they invented that term God to have a cause. But that cause cannot be known, you can only be it, and there's a big difference. In this world you can know things. African proverb says there's nothing more horrible than thinking. Right they are. When you have crossed the river of thinking, you can drop it and you are God. And you know then where you belong. Because people always ask me, well, if we belong to God, why did we leave Him? Or it? Ignorance. Ignorance. You had to go through that. And when you return, you are fully aware that you are God. So you are a God in the making. And so God can be called the revelation of the infinite. And when we say that, we mean all transient phenomena also. Because they proceed from the infinite, limitless space, duration and motion. And duration is nothing else than the time to which the monad or the being clings to material world. And as it experiences the change, the painful transiency, that we can call duration. In hell, it may be very painful and long, just to jump now to that state. In heaven it's blissful. Why? Because in hell material matter, or matter per se, mula prakriti, is more dense than any steel. And in hell, in heaven, Devachan, it is fine, refined, ethereal. And this is why the Buddha says, always think of the gods. They are not the highest state of being. The highest state of being you receive when you detach from that state of. This is why Buddha was called teacher of humans and gods. But at least it's better to think of the gods while you are in manifestation, because that's a very high state already. It's blissful and joyful. It's happiness independent on persons and things. So when we look at the theologians, then they say God has never manifested, you know. But we say you are gods in the making. How can something that never leaves the source, how can it manifest? By reflection. I leave that for now, this term, by reflection. When the reflection identifies itself with transient matter, this is where the aspect of suffering kicks in. Matter exists, motion exists. And they exist eternally, indestructibly. Indestructible. And why do they exist? Because they interact. See what the Bible claims and the Quran. Only of their God. We claim of everything. When you ask who created God, they say, oh, no one. Always there. We say, bravo. Not only God was always, everything was never created and manifests periodically. Who may fathom it, may fathom it. There is an eternal thing, dear friends, in the universe. which is independent of anything else. What is that? Space. And now you see this absolute, and I mentioned it, it's absolute, can have no other absolutes. That would not be absolute. But it can have aspects. Now what are those aspects? Duration, matter and motion. When the monad manifests in Mula Prakriti, it causes a fiery circle in circular motion. Walk the gods and God, God's reflection. And there's a constant cosmic breath. Brahman. Brihi, to expand, to contract, to expand, to contract. One expansion needs or requires or lasts less, we are at the term of duration, 311 trillion 40 billion years. Then everything disappears again into God. And who then still doesn't know that he's God, must leave again the source until he understands. Then he may rest with God or have true martyrdom and say, I renounce that ultimate state of bliss and dive into transient material world, transient because of the change of forms, not because of the essence of matter, which is eternal, timeless, eternal, uncreated. And I help others to deal better with that to which they cling, and which will be taken away from them over and over and over again. So you see, ignorance about the fact that you are God is the cause of you leaving God. And we belong thus to God. We are, if you wish so, the lost sons and so forth, parables in the Bible. The masters have interesting sensar words, terms, which I utter with all respect. Chang, omniscience. But then we have also ignorance. I mentioned it. Ignorance made us leave the source. It is a necessity, you could say. By the friction, by the experience with the transient, we become the non-transient. We become the timeless, eternal, immortal. So we have those terms, which I utter with great respect. Chang, omniscience. And we have another term, which we call Chang Mi Shi Kong. Chang Mi Shi Kong. Now Chang is omniscience. Chang Mi Shi Kong is ignorance. And when the universe has disappeared and rests in pralaya, they both are latent unconscious. Maintain. And then they rise again. We have another term that we utter with utter respect and, should I say, adoration. Tsigyu. Tsigyu. This is the Mula Prakriti in Sanskrit. Cosmic matter. We utter tog, space. We utter nyug, duration. We utter korva, motion. All these are then one aspect, in aspects. But they are not absolute. Absolute is something that has no other absolutes. Who may fathom it? What is space, dear friends? It is an eternal element. It is also element containing vehicle. It has no dimensions per se, and it has a coexistence. What is the coexistence with space? It is duration. And that duration is endless, although there is an arising and passing away, but over and over and over again, out of the cosmic womb. And the motion per se is absolute, perpetual motion. And it is, I said, Brahman is a cosmic breath, expanding, contracting. It never ceases. It even doesn't cease during pralaya. Now, dear friends, everything that cannot be experienced empirically is just theory and science fiction.